In the headlines, National Assembly approves autonomy for local governments and state judiciary, rejects immunity for presiding officers. APC governors say no to shift in National Convention date. 2 undergraduate students remanded in prison. And on the foreign scene, 11 killed in fire at Damascus shopping mall in Syria. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in full. The National Assembly on Tuesday approves financial and administrative autonomy to all local governments across Nigeria. Both chambers of the National Assembly, during voting on 68 of the constitutional amendments list, voted in favor of local governments' autonomy as a tier of government and guarantee their democratic existence and tenure. The lawmakers also voted in favor of autonomy for state judiciary, while the Senate rejects provision for the office of mayor for the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and appointment of a minister from the FCT. Members of the House of Representatives voted for mayoral status for the FCT. However, both chambers of the National Assembly reject immunity from prosecution for heads of the legislative arm of government. We will bring you details in our subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Senate has received a letter from President Muhammadu Buhari seeking an amendment of Section 84, subsection 12 in the 2022 Electoral Act. Buhari, in his letter read on the floor by President of the Senate, wants the National Assembly to amend the affected section, which states that no political appointee shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or any congress of any political party for the purpose of nomination for any candidate for an election. The report.
President Muhammadu Buhari noted that the amendment of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act is necessary as a clause constitutes a fundamental defect and leads to disenfranchisement of political office holders. The President added that the provision introduced by that section on qualification and disqualification criteria negates the principle of inclusion by imposing blanket restriction on serving political office holders.
I, however, will want to kindly draw your attention to the provisions of Section 84, subsection 2 of the Act, which I believe constitutes a fundamental defect, as it is in direct conflict with the extant constitutional provisions. Section 84, subsection 12 of the Act constitutes a disenfranchisement of serving political office holders from voting or being voted for at conventions or congresses of any political party for the purpose of nomination of candidates for any election in cases where it falls earlier than 30 days to the election. Section 84, subsection 12 of the Act provides as follows, and in quotes, no political appointee at any level shall be voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election.
Recall that President Buhari had earlier assented to the electoral bill with a reservation on Section 84, subsection 12 of the Act.
Now, conduct of any election in any country is crucial because it allows citizens to choose leaders who will hold positions of authority. Abubakar Abdullahi speaks with some residents of Lafia in Nasarawa State on the recent presidential assent to the Electoral Amendment Act and their expectations of the 2023 elections. His report.
In any democratic system, it is crucial that election be free and fair, and to achieve this, it is not only the provision of adequate legal framework, but ensuring implementation to the latter. The Electoral Act provides for the structure of INEC, its powers and guidelines for registering voters, procedures for the conduct of the elections, among others. Speaking on the effort of National Assembly to amend the Electoral Act and subsequent assent by President Muhammadu Buhari, some of the Nasarawa State residents said the action will give credibility to the election process and ensure full participation of citizens. They specifically dwell on some of the sections that, according to them, their amendment will give more confidence to the electorate.
Nigerian democracy with this development will grow to another level. We are so happy that the National Assembly has considered it expedient to take such action, and then Mr. President is worthy of commendation. His action is worthy of commendation for agreeing to give his assent to the bill. Is something of joy to the Nigerian electorate. With this development, I expect that Nigerians of voting age should be ready to participate fully in all the electoral processes. There should be no voter apathy, because you are aware that before now, some people will not decide just to stay at home, even when elections are being held, because of the belief that even if they go out and cast their vote, the votes may not be counted. So they become they just sit and watch what is going on. But with this development, we are at least assured that votes will count.
The new electoral law has given 150 days for campaigns. Previously, it used to be less than 150 days. It used to be 90 days. And 90 days is too short for somebody who is contesting or who wants to campaign for the office of the president. It is too short, but augmenting it to 150 days, it will give room for whoever who can go to the nooks and crannies of the country canvassing for votes. Another key thing I say in the Electoral Act that I like the most is when you are contesting election and you are an appointee of government, you have to resign. In most cases, the appointees of government, they will also be appointees of government, they will also be struggling to be delegates in elections.
In his overview of the amendment and assent of the bill by the president, a legal practitioner in the state, Barrister Abdullahi Ubandoma, commended both legislative and executive for the exercise, explaining that with the amendment, citizens will have free will to participate in the election process.
For the first time, we have a president who has listened to the yearnings and the complaints of the electorate in this country. And looking at the amendments of the electoral bill, one will say that it has come up with many innovations that will strengthen our democracy, that will give more credence and make our democracy more acceptable to the people, and as well provide avenue where free and fair elections can be seen to be conducted by the independent umpire, the INEC. So these innovations, to my own humble opinion, it will further strengthen our democracy and make it more impactful to the people and as well the entire electoral system we have in the country.
It will be recalled that after the 2015 elections, there were attempts to amend the electoral law with the introduction of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill in the National Assembly to, among other things, make the use of card readers legal, but suffered setback due to non-assent by the president. Until now that it is assented, Nigerians are hoping that assenting to the bill will bring the desired progress in our democratic system. From Lafia, Abubakar Abdullahi, Trust TV News.
And still talking politics, Chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and Governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, says the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, will not shift the March 26 convention date, despite the change in the 2023 elections timetable. He said this Tuesday while fielding questions from State House reporters after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa in Abuja. Bagudu said the governors met with the president to congratulate him for signing the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022, as well as the victory of the APC in some by-elections conducted at the weekend.
Last week, we were in this hall, about 20 APC governors, and we clearly said we came to discuss the National Convention, which is slated for March 26, and are working hard to ensure that on March 26, we have our convention and elect our national officers. And that remains the case. Malam Nasiru, again, last week, answered that, look, if by altercation people are talking about differences of opinion before a decision is arrived at, then maybe that is what people can. But as a body, the 22 governors of APC are united behind the party and behind the Mr. President. We congratulate the National Assembly for passage of the amendments, and equally we congratulate Mr. President for signing the amendments. Secondly, our party, the All Progressive Congress, participated in a number of by-elections over the last weekend, and equally we congratulated Mr. President.
And now to judicial matters, where a upper magistrate court, Kwendere, remands two postgraduate students of Federal University Lafia, Edward Ahmed and Emmanuel Onu, to a correctional center until 4th of March 2022 over alleged conspiracy and theft in a shopping mall in Lafia, Nasarawa State. Presiding Magistrate Saifullah Abdullahi gave the order after the two accused persons pleaded guilty of the offences. Abubakar Abdullahi was in court and now reports.
The two accused postgraduate students of the Federal University Lafia, Edward Ahmed and Emmanuel Onu, were brought to the court by the police after arresting them over alleged conspiring and theft of items in the Lafia City shopping mall along Makodi Road. The accused were alleged to have on 3 different occasions entered the shopping mall in pretense to buy items by picking them, paid some, and went away with others without making their payment, which is an offense contrary to Section 97 and 287 of the Penal Code of Northern Nigeria 1963. The magistrate of the court, Saifullah Abdullahi, asked the two accused persons whether they have heard and understand the allegations against them. The two accused persons said yes and subsequently admitted guilty to the two offenses. After the accused admitted committing the offenses of conspiracy and theft, there were no application from both counsel of the defendant and plaintiff, but on his part, Magistrate of the court Saifullah Abdullahi said the ruling on finding and sentencing is reserved to the 4th of March 2022. Counsel to the accused persons, Joe Kanu, declined comment, but the counsel holding brief for the Commissioner of Police, Abdullahi Obandoma, said admission of guilty by the accused persons is the work in the proceedings.
We just thank God that the defendants didn't waste much of the time of the court. They have admitted that what they did was wrong, so it's not for the court to decide one way or the other. It was a case of theft and conspiracy that happened at the Lafia City Mall, and the FIR was read to the defendants, and they all admitted that they are guilty of the allegations leveled against them. So, consequent upon this, the court reserved ruling for sentencing, for conviction and sentencing of the defendants. The Criminal Procedure Court has defined what the court should do, so we left for the court to decide that. That is our own part of it.
The two accused persons are expected to be brought to the court on 4th March 2022 to face sentence. Abubakar Abdullahi, Trust TV News, Lafia.
And at least 6 traders have been reportedly killed and many others abducted as bandits invaded a rural market at Sahwanrami community in Mashagu local government area of Niger State. Bandits also killed 4 persons in Dadigbe village and other villages along Lambata Kwakutimena Road in Gurara local government area of the state on Monday. Confirming the attacks, Niger State Police Command's Public Relations Officer, DSP Wasiwa Abiodun, said the hoodlums engaged in a gun battle, and in the process, 2 bandits were neutralized and 4 motorcycles were recovered, while others escaped into the forest with gunshot injuries. The State Commissioner for Local Government, Chieftaincy Affairs and Internal Security, Emmanuel Umar, however, said 4 persons were killed, including a petrol block marketer. Umar said the state governor has directed security forces to intensify aggressive search and patrols in the general area and ensure that the terrorists are neutralized. You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up after the break, secondary school graduate creates local inverter in Kano. This and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Update. Now look at our top stories. National Assembly on Tuesday approves financial and administrative autonomy to all local government across Nigeria. And Chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and Governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, says the ruling All Progressive Congress APC will not shift the March 26th convention date despite the change in the 2023 elections timetable. Now moving on to health. Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says it recorded 35 new cases of COVID-19 in 17 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The agency's data shows 66 persons were discharged after they recovered from the infection and no COVID fatalities recorded. Following the new infection recorded on Monday, Nigeria now has a total of 254,560 COVID cases, 249,079 recoveries, and 3,142 fatalities. A 25-year-old secondary school graduate in Kano State, Musa Nuhu, is making waves in local invention. He invented a locally made inverter for small-scale businesses. Musa Nuhu has so far produced over 70 pieces of the inverters, which he is renting to small business owners across the state. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin visits the young man with a secondary school leaving certificate from Technical College, Fagi.
Musa Nuhu is from a conservative society in the northern Nigerian city of Kano. At his age, many young men are encouraged here to obtain a university degree or its equivalent. But this aspiring inventor says that can wait.
You see, right from my secondary school, I conceived the idea of becoming self-employed. I do tell my friends that by the time they will finish their degree, I shall be there to employ them in my company. This is why it is important for me to have a business at hand so that I can be able to have a better education thereafter.
With a bigger dream to become a professional engineer, 25-year-old Musa is using a small room in his family house to build these locally made electric inverters capable of lighting a room for up to 12 hours.
I started with surveying the market to know what I should use and what the people need. Therefore, I identified and started getting all the necessary materials, and here I am today.
At the moment, Musa has built over 70 pieces of these locally made inverters. He is teaching some 4 boys who equally helping him to deliver the inverter to small business owners in many parts of Kano metropolis.
For now, I do get at least 5,000 naira daily. But when I started, I was having only 6 inverters. But today you can see what I have, and it's actually working for me.
For now, this local engineer says the business of renting out these inverters is paying off, and that the plan is to have at least 500 pieces of it by the end of 2022. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And motorists in Lagos say they face difficulty before they get fuel, even at exorbitant prices. Many motorists spend nights at filling stations in search of fuel in some parts of the state.
We are going to 3 weeks now. At the end of the day, the government say it will come down less than 2 weeks, and we are going to 3 weeks today now. Tomorrow, Monday, it will be 3 weeks. We have been suffering for fuel. You can see the queue all over.
What is the time now?
After 11. In the night. Queue for fuel.
How long have you been here, sir?
I'm talking of 3 hours now. Meanwhile, they are discharging fuel. But if they will sell it today, fine. They may say they will sell it tomorrow. That means I have to be on the queue tomorrow. Yeah? They have to listen to masses. Because now I know they will get fuel for their car, for their entourage. Masses, they are suffering. I'm a commercial driver. I'm a transporter. Now, that's the car for airport carrier. Meanwhile, if I buy 250 per liter, if they say 165 per liter, I have to bribe them. We too, we buy fuel for the car, but now they will not listen. So we don't overcharge them.
So how is this affecting your business?
It affects. Because now for me to struggle to enter here, I'll pay. Then now for them to sell fuel to me, I'll pay.
There is no fuel because I have exhausted my fuel. So if I should go home now, I can't come back here. So that's why I say, okay, let me hold on. But they said that this charges some tankers, and some people said that they will start selling by 5 p.m. That means 5 a.m. in the morning. Yes. So that's why I decided to sleep overnight. They just wake me that they are moving again. So that's why
they are going to start selling now.
Yes, because they've started now. Because before there was no vehicle inside at all. That's what we have been experiencing for some weeks now. Precisely about 2 or 3 weeks. That's what we have been experiencing. And we don't know when it will end.
And in business, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has said despite its efforts at preventing any disruption to energy flows, the ongoing crisis in Russia and Ukraine have triggered a reasonable degree of anxiety and uncertainty in the global energy market. Secretary General Dr. Mohammad Sanusi Barkindo expressed the fears in his opening remarks at the 60th meeting of the Joint Technical Committee. According to him, these conditions are amplified by low commercial oil stock levels, which currently stands at 250 million barrels below the 2015 to 2019 levels. He further said that high overconformity levels of 129% in January 2022 at a time of steady upward adjustments in crude oil production by participating countries and shrinking spare capacity, which is currently at around 3.3 million barrels per day, in only a few countries have intensified perceptions of vulnerability and a tightening global oil market. And now a look at the foreign scene, where a nighttime fire in a shopping center in the Syrian capital Damascus has killed at least 11 people, the Interior Ministry said, in one of the most deadliest blazes in recent years. Many of those killed on Tuesday were security guards or staff who are on duty overnight in the 6-story building, said Ahmed Abbas, the Director of Civil Defense. The cause of the fire was not immediately clear. The Interior Ministry says investigations are underway to determine the cause of the blaze. Meanwhile, German sportswear company Adidas has suspended its partnership with the Russian Football Union with immediate effect. The company's spokesperson, who disclosed this on Tuesday, did not give additional details. The decision is in line with a series of those made by sports bodies to cut ties to Russian-affiliated bodies or companies following the war in Ukraine. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for staying with us.